Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to all the subs. Gratitude to anyone new. Let's talk about this 140-pound division once again, and let's talk about the landscape of it, because you know some of these fights are happening, but there are a tremendous amount of fights that can happen. I'm going to list all the fighters that we've got in this division because there are a ton, and there are a ton of southpaws as well. Well, let's start with the champions. Obviously, you got Teofimo Lopez. Then you have Liam Paro. Now, Paro is fighting Richardson Hitchens. As we know, that fight is in Puerto Rico. I think it's in December. So I'll cover that fight a little bit more closely. But then you have Jose Valenzuela. He's just coming off a great win against Isaac Cruz, another champion. Devin Haney is a champion in recess, whatever that means. And then Alberto Puello, obviously, is the other champion. He's coming off a really good win against Gary Antoine Russell. Two southpaws right there. Liam Paro, southpaw as well. And then we'll get into the rest of the southpaws. But, you know, this division is still stacked. I actually haven't mentioned Ryan Garcia because I don't know if he's even campaigning at 140 anymore. He just said he couldn't get back down there. So I've just left him out because I don't think he's honestly going to be able to get down to 140. So I don't think that rematch is going to happen with Devin Haney. So I deliberately just didn't put him in there because I don't think he's in the division, to be honest with you. Jack Catel, obviously coming off a good win against Regis Prograis. Now, in about a video I made about 10 months ago, I was like, watch out for Jack Catel. He's a little bit of a dark horse. He's got a very good boxing brain, good style, and he's definitely got a style to upset people. Another southpaw, so Regis Prograis, another southpaw. He just obviously beat Prograis. And I nearly made a video about that. I ran out of time, but I was going to pick Catel to win on points. But I thought it would be, like the first 4 or 5 rounds, very cagey. I didn't actually see the whole fight in its entirety. I watched like bits and pieces. I was kind of getting ready, and I had a lot of stuff to do, so I don't want to speak on it too much. But I did think it would be, well, it was a bit more entertaining than I thought. I thought it'd be very cagey, and I thought Catel would move his feet a little bit more. And because Regis, he really struggles with cutting the ring off, and he struggles with movers, and just back to back, I was like, it's a really bad matchup for him. I love Regis. I've made so many videos about him, and I really love his passion and his heart and his will. He really gave it his all, and people are asking for him to retire and stuff like that, and there's been talks about him fighting Matias if Matias gets through. There's another candidate in this division, Braum Matias. He's fighting Ramirez in November. It might be, well, pretty soon actually. I'm going to do a full video on that. So, but if Matias beats Ramirez, which many people think he will, including me, people are trying to line up the Prograis fight, but I think it's a very dangerous fight for Prograis. He just talked about coming out on maybe going to bare knuckle, which is that just says it all to him. Really, it's like he loves a fight, but you do wonder, what he's got left, because he's looking a little bit more vulnerable, and he's always been tough. He always had a little bit of a chin. And then against Cepeda, he got hurt against Cepeda a little bit, which is no shakes there. He's got some decent power, but then he got dropped by Haney. Looked like he could have, if Haney really put the gas on, he might have stopped him. And then he got dropped a couple of times against Catel. He's not looking as strong, as durable, and I would strongly suggest not fighting Matias, just because you don't need that kind of smoke at the end of your career, and you got to take your hat off to fighters like that. He just wants to go out there and fight the best. That's one of the reasons why I love him like that, watching him, because he's a real throwback fighter and he really knows the sport. So respect to Regis. I wish him well, but I think there's lighter touches than Braum Matias. But anyway, let's go down the list. So Richardson Hitchens, I've already mentioned him. Him and Liam Paro are about to fight each other. The other 2 fighters that are about to fight each other are Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez. That fight's coming up. That card, I think, I don't know when that is. It might be I think that's coming up soon in November, right? Yeah. On the Dalton Smith Zurdo. I think I'm going to cover that card too, but that at least they're fighting each other. Barboza, I think, to be honest with you, he looked like he could have lost his last fight. I think he got a little bit of hometown A-side cooking there. But that, at least we'll find out from them too, because, it's just two of the topper guys fighting each other, which is what we want. And then let me go down the list here because I've got them all lined up here with these little icons. Okay, Dalton Smith from the UK, good fighter, crisp puncher, very calculated, defensive, good boxer. You know, I like his style. He's rumored to be fighting Adam Aziz, or at least they've had talks. You know, there's Aziz definitely swerved him earlier on this year and fought O'Hara Davis coming off that win. So hopefully they can get that fight made, because that is a good domestic dust up at 140 in the UK, and then obviously they can start mentioning bigger names once that fight, if that fight gets made, because it makes perfect sense right now. But then you have Elvis Rodriguez. He's a really good fighter. His only loss is to Kenny Sims Jr., who is actually right now, I've talked about him as a dark horse. I'm going to keep talking about him as a dark horse. Very skilled fighter, crisp, sharp puncher, very, very good boxer indeed. And he beat Elvis Rodriguez. So, I mean, there's a ton of fighters. You know, all these fighters right now that I'm listing. You know, if you put them in together with each other, it makes great fights stylistically. Drew Kembaev is still one hanging around, right? Josh Taylor, two southpaws right there again. Elvis Rodriguez, another southpaw. But you know, Josh Taylor's, I think at this point you could even say, if he doesn't look good, or if whoever he fights next, he's slowly becoming a high level gatekeeper. Really, you know. Reminds me of George Kambosos a little bit, in the sense where Kambosos at this point is basically a high level gatekeeper, or someone that you can get a good win off if you're, just get some interest in it. Maybe not anymore after his Loma knockout, but Kambosos is basically a gatekeeper now, I think, and there's no disrespect either. There comes a time when the crossover happens, when you become a gatekeeper. And that's okay, you can still make money and people want to use you for your name, especially fighters coming up. Josh Taylor, still a dangerous fighter. I'm not sure I'd favor too many of the young guns. Let's just say Dalton Smith or Adam Aziz against Josh Taylor. That'd be a tremendously hard fight, but you might be catching him at the right time. But Sandor Martin, another fighter, another southpaw, very tricky fighter. Jermaine Ortiz. There's so many fighters in this division that I keep forgetting about, and that are just kind of lingering right there. Obviously, Shojahan Ergashev, I think he just lost again actually, but dangerous nonetheless. And then fill in the gaps, guys, if you can think of any that I'm missing, because there might be one or two more. If you look at the rankings, they're kind of all over the place. I tend to not pay that much attention to the rankings because they're very biased, and they'll bring in fighters that make no sense. There's a few names I don't even recognize on here, to be honest. But nonetheless, this division is still stacked. Obviously, the 154 is the main one right now, I think, which has just got some crazy fights in it. It really has. Probably I think I did kind of break down the division a little bit when I made a video about Xander's Eyes. If you want to check that out, I talked about a lot of fighters in there. Maybe I'll do a separate one like this, because it does get me excited to think of some of the fights, but they got to get in the ring with each other a little bit more. It's starting to happen a little bit, like I said, with Hitchens and Paro and Barboza and Ramirez, but we need a little bit more. It'd be interesting to see what Gary Antoine Russell does next as well. Very dangerous fighter. And honestly, I wonder if the division it hasn't been quite as like full of life without Matias. I know he's fighting, but since he's kind of after he's lost to Paro, the division has taken a little bit of a dip, let's be honest, from the excitement point of view. So I'd love to see all these fighters back in the ring, and slowly we'll get them. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. If you're new and you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and I'll see you soon. Peace. I'm out.
Boxing.